I would like to thank you for joining us today for this IGI webinar entitled Elevating the Digital Experience with Room Visualization, Meeting the Expectations of Today's Consumers. This webinar is presented by IGI Associate Member Roomvo, and I'm very happy to introduce our presenters. Josh Ruff. Josh is the Vice President of Revenue at Roomvo. With every company he works with, Josh finds opportunities for growth. He's built high-performing sales and operations departments at a number of successful startups, especially in the space where tech and home improvement intersect. And Patrick Warren. Patrick serves as the Vice President of Residential Sales for Daltile North America, overseeing all residential remodel, dealers, and corporate showrooms. His main responsibilities center on three iconic brands, Daltile, Marazzi, and American Olean, each of which holds a unique market and trend position. As for every IGI webinar, questions can be entered in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and they will be answered at the end of the panel discussion. As for every webinar, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand on the IGI website, together with all the IGI past webinars. It's now time to start. Josh, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Geraldine, and thanks everyone for attending. Thanks, Patrick. So we'll jump in. We've got about a 10 to 15 minute presentation talking about consumers' expectations, how they've changed. So we're going to dive right into it. The last few years, as everyone probably knows, we've had pre-pandemic, we had the pandemic and post-pandemic, and obviously a huge shift in kind of shoppers' expectations have changed. And this is a trend that's been going on for some time. But consumers are more demanding than ever before. Manufacturers already know the importance of being visible in store. End of the aisle, front of the showroom, at eye level. If you can secure high visible product locations on the shelf, you maximize opportunities of selling your products. Visibility is obviously incredibly important. But what about online visibility? Something we don't always think about, right? Every customer journey is unique. So manufacturers should make their products visible at all touch points, including digital ones. Showroom, digital, online, in-store, really as many opportunities as you can to make your products as visible as possible. Not only that, but manufacturers, distributors, retailers are now expected to tailor that shopping experience to each customer's unique needs. Businesses are expected to introduce personalization across the entire buyer journey, including digital touchpoints. Personalization, super, super, super important. It ultimately comes down to this, personalization. We'll kind of touch on this throughout the entire presentation, but introducing an omni-channel approach to selling is now more important than ever. If you don't know what customers want, they won't keep coming back. You're going to hear personalization a lot. So what exactly is personalization? Can happen in a bunch of different ways. But personalization is the process of tailoring the shopping experience to suit an individual customer's preferences across the entire buyer journey. Customers' needs can be anticipated based on their demographics, location, past purchasing behavior, across your digital channels as well. Think about social media. You're scrolling through Instagram or Twitter and you get served up an ad and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, my phone's listening to me. That is becoming more and more of the normal, and that really is personalization, serving something up exactly when someone wants to see it, giving access to the information they're looking for. That's really kind of what we're talking about here is that personalized, customized experience. According to a 2022 study on personalization in retail, 73% of shoppers are expecting companies to understand their unique needs and expectations. 3/4 of customers are expecting to see that. In addition to that, 62% of shoppers would stop doing business with a company if they don't provide personalized experiences, up 45% since 2021. So that is almost 100% increase since 2021 in the last 2 years. Huge shift in buyer behavior. If you get personalization right, the rewards can be transformative. According to McKinsey, faster growing companies drive 40% more of their revenue from personalization than slower growing companies. Organizations who fail to meet these expectations often find themselves in a situation where they fall to the wayside, trumped by their competitors in the space, can have pretty big negative impacts on the business. Think about when you're shopping and you're looking at a few different, different companies, one that gives you a customized experience versus not. More times than not, you're going to gravitate towards that vendor, that company that's giving you that experience. Brands that fail to deliver on these expectations risk losing quite a lot. This I found quite shocking. 85% of businesses think they're doing a good job on personalization. 60% of customers agree. So obviously there's a big gap there in terms of expectations versus reality and what the consumer's seeing. So we're going to talk about transforming the shopping experience and how you can leverage visualization to really get that personalization component. Technology moves fast. What brands are doing now, turning to a sustainable and long-term solution, directly solves these shifts in purchasing behaviors. Businesses are betting big on augmented reality and in particular AR. Just look at yesterday, Apple released their AR VR vision headset. That technology is really coming to the forefront, and now bigger and bigger companies. You've seen Facebook, Google. Now Apple's moved into the space. Businesses are really investing in it, consumers and businesses both. And buyers' behavior is going to change even more drastically in the next 12 to 24 months. Venture capital invested into AR and virtual reality topped over $4 billion in 2021. Customers want the ability to make better purchasing decisions, and room visualizers help bring those renovations to life. It introduces personalization into the mix, engaging the consumer in ways never seen before. So think about personalization, getting a personalized email. Hey, Josh, getting personalized content. Now you're able to actually see personalized content in your own space. What is this product going to look like? What is this wall covering going to look like on my wall? You're really taking that personalization to the next level. The best way to future-proof your business, especially when it comes to technology, is to partner with a company that specializes in room visualization or that specific technology. That way you're offloading innovation, you're investing in long-term roadmap, rather than simply getting access to a tool in its existing state today. We've seen customers look at building their own visualization technology in-house, and one of the things a lot of people don't think about is, what is this technology going to look like in 12 months and 24 months? And so building it today is one thing, but how do I continue to evolve that tool to adapt to the consumer needs, to adapt to my business needs? Something that's not thought about a lot of the time. So at Roomvo, when a customer invests in us and uses our platform, they're always getting the most updated technology. We're always evolving our tool. We're always evolving, and our customers always get that kind of most up-to-date technology as it stands today. So what is Roomvo? Roomvo is a room visualization tool. We create frictionless shopping experiences that customers crave, online and in store. So not only do visualization on the website, but also in showroom, in store, really creating kind of that, following that online to in-store experience. Our state-of-the-art visualization platforms lets customers preview products in their home, creating highly immersive, realistic shopping experience that moves shoppers from inspiration to purchase very quickly. So you're creating this emotional experience. Someone's going to see a product in their home. You're building buyer confidence every single time someone uses that visualization tool. So here's a great example of myself when I was shopping for our kitchen and our backsplash. You get a sample, you put it on the wall, and it really shows you a very small piece. And it's still really hard to visualize what that's going to look like across that entire wall segment or that entire piece. So really kind of instilling confidence and creating that emotional attachment to a product in that buyer journey. So the Roomvo visualizer enables customers to see products in their homes instantly. They snap a photo of the room, upload it to the visualizer, and they can swap through products and see what looks best. Once a consumer finds a product they like, they can add it to the cart through the visualizer. They can go onto the company's website, order it there. But really, again, it's really instilling confidence in the buying decision, boosting engagement with your products, and conversions across the board for retailers, manufacturers, and anyone who really does interact with our tool on a daily basis. So we're going to jump to what are some of the benefits of visualization. The big pieces. All of these are kind of tying into personalization of the customer experience. But a big one is kind of a more engaging shopping experience. Shoppers are more likely to engage with your brand and products in a personalized e-commerce environment. 54% of businesses are increase in engagement with personalization. So personalization versus not, huge increase in terms of engagement with your product and your business. By implementing personalization strategies, 47% of retailers have achieved a better response to discount offers. 41% have reported an increase in email open rates and click-through rates. And again, really just seeing more engagement and more conversions across the board when you kind of offer that personalized experience and visualization. Increased conversion kind of falls down the line. A more engaging shopping experience, more engagement with your product leads to better conversion rates, right? Better add to cart, order sample, whatever that might be. 48% of retailers achieve more conversions when implementing more personalization and visualization on their customer journeys. Reduced product returns, one that we don't think about a lot. Again, buyer confidence. You allow a consumer to see what a product looks like and functions in their home before they make the purchase. It's going to drastically increase or decrease the volume of product returns. Hey, you know what? I'm going to maybe get a couple of these. I don't know which one I like. I'm going to return one. Really, again, giving someone that full picture of what that product is going to look like. We've seen some significant product return rates when someone is visual. And that can be costly, right? Especially if you have contractors or someone installing the product. Really, it kind of touches all areas of a business, from installation to purchase all the way through. Really, again, that buyer confidence. And quicker sales cycle. Visualization software helps shoppers explore your entire product catalog, giving them confidence to make quick, stress-free decisions. Kind of all on that same theme of, again, creating that shopping experience. Kind of some more concrete results and what people see from implementing visualization. Shoppers spend twice as much time on a website when using Roomvo. So one of the metrics people in the e-commerce world always are looking at is, time on site, product interaction with product, things like that. We see up to a 3-time customer engagement increase when someone uses a Room Visualizer or Roomvo versus not. We've brought over 1 billion products to life. We've been in business since 2017. We've partnered with thousands of businesses in over 60 countries, and we've had over 1 billion products visualized over that just over 5-year mark. So that number continues to grow. We're seeing it all over the world. So huge increase in usage and adoption across the world. And then up to 5% conversion. So if someone visualizes a product versus not visualizing a product, they're 5 times more likely to convert. 5 times more likely to purchase that product or take whatever kind of purchasing action that might be. So again, it's really, how do you get the tool into more people's hands, into more locations, whether it's online and in store, because you really are able to drive that conversion. So the more places that you can really get it, the more you're going to reap the benefits of kind of that conversion. So that's kind of high level of some of the results. And that's it for the deck. So thank you very much. I'm going to
Thank you very much.
stop screen share here.
Yeah. So let's go to our panel discussion. I have a few questions for the both of you. I will start right away with the first one, which is, how does introducing visualization into the mix support the scalability and longevity of a manufacturer's business? Josh, maybe you can start.
I can start. So I think the one is, I kind of touch base on this in the deck, is, focus on what you do best, right? And so as a manufacturer, do you want to invest your money in technology, or do you want to invest in areas of your business that you can actually help, whether it's your own product innovation, whether it's your own marketing spend, really lean on other people that are kind of investing in their own technology to help you scale that business. That's one piece. I think the other piece is being able to meet your customer in different areas. So when you think about visualization, it doesn't just have to be on the web, right? We talk about e-commerce. It can be in store. It can be in showroom. And so wherever your business decides to go in terms of channels or wherever you sell, there is a way to meet them with visualization. And again, it's kind of trying to impact that customer journey. Everyone wants to see what a product is going to look like. whether it's in their home, it might be it might be a new build, it might be a condo development. Someone's going to want to see what that product looks like. And so again, lean on the experts in the field to kind of leverage that technology and focus on what you do best of your core business to think about expansion and growth and where you may see your business going.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. Anything to add to that?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you very much for having me. Josh, nice job on the presentation. You know, I think if you look at where we've evolved, if you look at, Josh brought up a couple of good words that I liked. And if you talk about frictionless, that we're getting some, is that sound coming through okay?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you look back, you go back to really pre-COVID, when the technology started to evolve, COVID really accelerated a consumer shopping experience, if you will. And the technology was there, but it proved that consumers really, they begin their journey with an idea, with an image. And what visualization does is, and I love that word frictionless, is it provides that frictionless access to products, services, images that are going to put that room or whatever that project is together. And what we found that partnering with someone like Roomvo allows that consumer a frictionless shopping experience. And, you know, I'll use the word multiple times today, that the continuity of how they're beginning their journey to how they ultimately purchase whatever product they happen to be purchasing. So for us, it's been very important to, one, partner with Roomvo because they're best in class, but two, the consumer has evolved. And at Daltile and our three brands, we find that we have to evolve with the accelerated change of the consumer, how they purchase and what journey they're going on to ensure that they're getting the product that they're looking for. So that's been very important to us.
Yeah, and the second question is for you. And in what ways have you seen room visualization transform the digital shopping experience of your customers? What have been some of the net benefits? What do you think, Patrick?
You know, for us, it's been access. So if you look at us personally, and so one of my area of responsibility is our dealers that have all kinds of different products and services on the floor. Consumers are shopping online. It provides a continuity from when they begin with their idea, they shop on our website, they go into our showrooms, they go into our dealer showrooms. It provides a continuous, what we try to provide is a seamless experience for them. So that in what Josh really touched on, and really why I like this word frictionless, is if there's any challenge in a let's call it whoever's building the project, a selector, if that selector can't put a concrete ribbon around what they're trying to do, that friction, whether subtle or concrete, they're going to move to something else. They're going to shop, they're going to move, they're going to spend their dollars elsewhere. So for us, that evolution of, you know, visualization is not new, but what COVID really accelerated, almost a perfect storm in a good way. I don't, you know, COVID was horrible, but in a good way, it allowed consumers to shop at home. It allowed consumers to visualize and actually put their digital project ideas to work without having to go into a store, because there's anxiety about going into stores. And then now that COVID is kind of, the dust is settled, if you will, we've really seen that business accelerate where people can do their visualization, they can shop, and they can actually put their projects to life. So it's been it's been an interesting last 3 years. I think Josh's point of $4 billion invested resources into the category since 2021 fuels that. I mean, we have to bridge, you know, someone needs to understand what their project is and how to bring it to life. And I think that's what the visualization does, specifically with Roomvo.
Right. The next question is still for you, Patrick. Can you share any insights or lessons learned from your brand's experience with room visualization technology that might help other brands looking to adopt this technology?
Yes, for us at Daltile, we have two different answers to this. The first of which is I have responsibility for our corporate showrooms, of which we have 117, and then all of our dealers. And when we started, and we call it our Daltile visualizer or stylizer, when we started, we began it was a little, and Josh is not going to like this, but it was a little gimmicky, like, oh, neat, look, I can take a picture, I can put a room in, check it out. But where we spent a tremendous amount of time with our team and our dealers is training them on how to make that a selling tool, not just something that's nice and neat to look at. Oh, look, I can take a picture of this wall, put wallpaper on, I can put this floor, or to Josh's point, backsplash, which Josh, I hope you're shopping for Dow Tile backsplash. I just hope that that's the case. Just making sure.
Of course,
but,
of course.
Right. But we learned that developing the skill set, so when somebody does go through the visualization process, they select their products, it's in a cart or in some type of clipboard, if you will. Then they bring it into our showroom or our dealer showroom, how to convert that. And I know that sounds very, obviously, I think the numbers are 80% of people that can see it in a room will actually end up purchasing it. But there's a bridge to making it over that hurdle into making sure that they purchase those products. We've spent, and continuously, it's not just a one-time training. So the training component has been very important on how to leverage that visualization tool.
Mm-hmm. Great. The next question for you, Josh, to start. How does room visualization technology impact the decision-making process for customers? Does it influence their perception of product quality, aesthetics, or suitability for their needs? And how can brands leverage this influence to drive conversions?
Great question. So I think a few different ways. One of the big things is, which I kind of talked about, is instilling confidence, right? That is without question the number one. And not only one product, but seeing multiple products together, right? And so you think about, if someone's doing a renovation to their home, they're probably doing more things together, right? So when you think about if someone's putting a wallpaper on the wall, they may also have been doing a floor, and they may also have been doing something else. And so it's really, instead of looking at each one of those things independently, bringing that all together to bring that entire project to life. It's a super important part of it. And we talk about kind of that, it's very much driven by aesthetics, of course, right? That's where people's inspiration comes from. They're always looking for the look, and that's kind of where people start. Right. And then from there, they kind of funnel their decision down based on, needs specific to them for, do they have any type of, is the room indoor, outdoor? There's a million different things in terms of product attributes people look at, but normally they have a look, right? And they have an inspiration in something they want to recreate. They have a design kind of to the point Patrick made. And so something Del Tile's done a great job too, is like, how can we shop for products together, right? Maybe I have two different wallpapers together. Maybe I have an accent wall, right? And so it's like making product suggestions as well based on, hey, this goes with this, and really kind of getting suggestive is something that's kind of the next step as well. Someone who liked this might have liked this. And so again, really it's bringing that project to life. You're creating that emotional experience of someone bringing that vision to life, which is really hard to get away from once you kind of lock somebody into that, right? So that's the biggest thing we see. And then when you talk about conversions, when someone is emotionally attached to someone, you create that emotional experience, that's where your conversions really go through the roof, because now someone is, you can look at a sample, that's one thing, but if you now see it in your room, you see a room come to life, that's where the magic happens in terms of conversions. You've really convinced that buyer that's what they want now. And so that's the real impact that we see.
Yeah, Patrick, anything to add to this?
Yeah, he brought up a great point. I think anytime you can, there's no project is singular. Every project is going to have multiple products on it, whether it's wallpaper, whether it's furniture, cabinets, tile, backsplash, flooring. Anytime you can bundle those together, I think will ensure that success in what the project's looking for. So I think, and Josh, I like your idea on the suggestive. It's almost like music. Spotify or Apple Music will tell you, hey, you know what? You like these artists, these songs, you'll also like this. Same thing goes with home decor. If you like this color, this style, chances are, based on what we've seen in the past, you'll like A, B, and C. So I think that will extend that journey and make it more successful.
Great, thank you. So the next question is for you, Josh. In what ways can room visualization technology help brands differentiate themselves from competitors in the digital realm? How does it contribute to brand loyalty and customer retention?
So back to creating great shopping experiences, right? I think that is, people gravitate to where they've had a really enjoyable experience. And that covers everything from, think of a place you've gone into, or a restaurant you've gone into, where you've gotten amazing service, right? Normally it's the experience and the service that really builds that brand loyalty and brings you back. In terms of, how can people leverage themselves? You're creating that unique shopping experience, right? You're making it easy. We talked about frictionless. So when you're going to purchase a product, are you going to go back to somewhere where you had a really easy, enjoyable, thoughtful experience? 9 times out of 10, that's going to where you're going to go back. And so, a lot of companies compete on similar product and things like that. And like, how can you differentiate yourself? It's kind of those other things that people don't really think about. It's really creating that enjoyable experience. And it's not just visualization. I mean, that's part of it, but it's a bunch of different things. How is your support? Access to information. So it's one of those pillars of creating a really enjoyable customer experience. And that's where people are going to come back. It's ease of use. It's, personalization, right? Is someone thoughtful about what information they're serving me? Do they know what I'm looking for? In the simplest form, everyone on this call has probably experienced it. If you go to try something and it asks you to put in an email address, it's just a simple example. Most people are just going to drop off and not even use that experience again, right? So it's kind of the total opposite of that is how can we make it as easy to use, frictionless, enjoyable, so you do continue to come back. And so this is one of those tools that really much fits in that pillar of creating a really enjoyable, seamless customer experience. And so I think that's how brands can differentiate themselves, because products, you have looks, and even then you can highlight looks and different attributes of products, but people will always gravitate. You can have the best product in the world, and if someone has a bad experience, that's going to have the negative impact, right? So it's really back to that experience again.
Great. I propose that we continue to the panel discussion as we have plenty of time, but I would like to say to the participants, if you have any questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to type them in the Q&A while I continue asking the question to Josh and Patrick. So you can write your questions in the Q&A, we'll take them at the end. So Josh, next question is still for you. How do you see room visualization technology evolving in the future? And what opportunities or advancements do you anticipate for brands and consumers?
Great question. So I think my one slide is technology is evolving incredibly quickly, faster than ever. I think we've seen the big AI push. What we do is AI, and so we've actually been doing it for some time, but it's a lot more at the forefront, right? So you look at the Apple headset that released yesterday. So consumer technology is drastically evolving and will continue to evolve. And so that is definitely a roadblock when you think about visualization technology today. It kind of all goes back to ease of use. So is it easy right now to put on a virtual reality headset and walk around your home? It's not. And so it's very much one of these bright, shiny objects. It sounds great, but will people use it? Will it be adopted? And so it's always this gap between ease of use and technology that's available today. I hate to say it, people are inherently lazy. They don't want to do a ton of work when they're browsing for things. Like, how can we make the shopping experience as easy as possible? And again, so as technology continues to evolve, access to technology and being able to get it into someone's hands, right, is really what's going to start to drive things forward. So things like virtual reality, augmented reality, all of those things you're hearing about, absolutely. Timelines really dictated by kind of consumer adoption of the technology. That is without question one of the bigger ones. But I think the overarching, what we're probably going to see, and we kind of hinted on this, is the consumer is going to want to go where they can visualize more products. And that's where everyone's going to want to play. Everyone's going to want to play in the space where you don't want to go somewhere and visualize your wallpaper. And then what about my floor? What about this, right? And so the consumer is always going to gravitate towards the experience where they can do their entire project. But there's that roadblock of technology, right? And every manufacturer of every product type in the world is going to want to play in the space where all the consumers go, right? So that's kind of, you'll see this evolution of visualization start to have more products. It'll start to be more interactive. And again, it's going to depend on the accessibility of technology, not necessarily what's out there, but the accessibility to the broader market of that technology that's available. But obviously some really, really exciting stuff happening in the industry and in the space, and it's going to be exciting next few years. There's no question about it. Apple drives the market, and they didn't invent the phone, but they took over the phone. They didn't invent wireless headphones, but when they launched wireless headphones, it took off. And so they have been the catalyst for broader adoption of newer technologies. So we'll see where the headset goes. A lot of people have talked about VR in this space, but we'll see what happens there, but some really exciting stuff on the horizons.
Definitely. So the next question, I think you answered it already a little bit, but why is creating a personalized and omni-channel customer journey so important for shoppers today? Patrick, what do you think?
You know, and I'll tie this, we have talked about it a little bit, but I'll tie this back to what Josh was talking about. We believe that there's still a physicality of the shopping experience. So visualization, our Dow Tile Stylizer gets you to a point, but there's still, they want to feel it, they want to touch it, they want to see what it's going to look like, especially with ceramic tile and natural stone, where there's texture that you can't quite see on a visualizer. So what we've done is we've bridged that, where we have an incredibly dynamic speed sample to get samples to somebody as quickly as possible. So that, because look, we live in an Amazon world, you know, Amazon, it's instantaneous and we need things quickly. So if you can go through a visualization process, and again, that omni-channel of your shopping, you have an idea, you're online, you're in the store, but we need to get that sample into that home. As soon as that sample gets into that consumer's home, we know they're going to make that purchase. So I think bridging all that together still provides that continuity in their shopping experience.
Josh, anything to add to that? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Josh.
Thank you. I was going to say, just echoing what Patrick said, I think, and we kind of touched on this point a lot. It's really about kind of that experience. Like myself, for example, like if everyone thinks about what they buy, most of the times I buy things that somehow get suggested to me, right? I get emailed something, I'm scanning like it's like, oh, I saw this thing, and then I think of buying it versus, hey, I want to find a solution for X and searching it. I already know what I'm going to look for before I even think about it, because so much stuff has been served for me, right, already. So it really does have a massive influence of, think of anyone, when you go to buy something, what's the first thing you do, right? You Google something, right? So like online, or it's like, oh, I'm thinking about this. Oh, you know what? I saw an ad for X, Y, and Z. Like most times you're already pretty educated of what's available out there. And it has massive influence on where you kind of, you know, start your path of exploration in terms of products, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So the next question, and from a consumer perspective, what are the main factors that contribute to a seamless and personalized digital shopping experience, and how does room visualization technology especially addresses these factors? That's for you, Josh.
That's for me. So I'd say one is, this is a good question. So I think one is the obvious piece here of, you can't get any more personalized than seeing the product and what it's going to look like in your home. Like there's no question about it, but how do you get there? And so from a consumer perspective, and this actually will piggyback off of Patrick, and we use a car dealership analogy a lot, right? And so where do I start my journey of when I'm going to buy a product? And so, and how can I kind of serve up personalization the whole way? I'll use a car dealership. If I'm going to buy a new car, I might go to the Volkswagen.com website because I want to look at product information, right? That's where I'm going to look at the product brochure. I don't actually buy my car on the Volkswagen website. I end up going into a local Volkswagen dealer or maybe a used car dealer to buy my product. And so how can I actually get that personalization to follow me all the way through the different steps of the buyer journey? So I'm on dowtile.com. I see a product I love. Now what? Right? And Patrick touched on this. So now I'm able to go into maybe it's a Dow Tile showroom, or maybe it's a dealer that sells Dow Tile products. So now I'm able to basically take that personalization experience. I visualize my room on the Dow Tile website. I go into a Dow Tile showroom. I'm still there. I can still kind of have that personalized experience with visualization. And maybe it's not a Dow Tile showroom. Maybe it's someone else who sells their product. Again, I'm really able to kind of take that personalization and carry it all the way through. So not only is it's not only the personalized experience, but to Patrick's kind of that omni-channel, the continuity of that same experience all the way through. And so that's a huge part of how visualization addresses it, where we can really follow that customer anywhere they are along the journey and really provide personalization at every step of kind of their purchasing, purchasing journey. And I think that's the key, right, for the consumer is uniform experience, I'm getting the same thing across the board. And that's where I think consumers really gravitate to, right? Familiarity with the tool, familiarity with all those things, right? I think is a key component of that.
If I could add something to that, Josh, that's a great point. I have a very close friend that owns a car dealership in Dallas, Texas. And it's about, I think he built it about 15 years ago, brand new. And he'll tell you that the majority of people buying a car or a truck come in to make the sale. They don't come in to make the selections anymore. It's all done online, to your point. That whole process of what do I want? What color? What does it look like? What's the car going to feel like sitting behind the wheel? All of that visualization allows for a smoother, continuous purchase. That was great. I like that analogy of the car dealership. We look at that also quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, the question is for Josh still. Why should wall covering companies put visualization at the top of their list for tool adoption?
I think great one. I think in general, kind of all the pieces we talked about. Number one is how can you get people interacting with your products? We live in a digital world now. I would put this into 3 buckets. One is how do you get more visibility to your products, right? Number one, how do you get people engaging with your products? That is kind of number one. And we see this increased engagement on the website overall. And so also your ability to create and generate content, right? We live in a world now where content is so important. Not only can your consumers use it to generate content, but you can also use it to generate your own content. So content is king, right? How can you actually build brand, build assets, get more visibility to your products? I think that's number one, which we kind of nailed. The second piece is, again, consumer experience. How can you really create that enjoyable shopping experience to help someone make that confident purchasing decision? And then the other side of it is we can really integrate in anywhere you sell your product. So if you're a wall covering manufacturer, where do you sell your products? If you sell e-commerce, we can meet your customer on the web and they can interact in an e-commerce capability, right? And you can help drive conversions there. Maybe you sell through distribution and you sell through retail. Same thing, you can really, again, have that same experience all the way through your customer journey, and you can meet your customer wherever product is purchased. And so, again, we live in the digital world and customers are expecting more. And kind of to the whole thing we talked about is people are looking for more, and you need to find ways to differentiate yourselves, right? It's a very competitive market. Everyone's trying to find ways to do something different than their competitors. But at the end of the day, someone really just wants a really good, enjoyable, engaging experience. And that's why it's one thing, you can spend money on digital advertising and all these things. They're great and they lead you to your site, but you still need to engage them when they get there, right? So it's kind of that piece where someone's always going to want to use that visualization component. There's tons of different other levers you can pull on to get people to kind of your ecosystem, but there aren't many other tools that, again, create that emotional experience, right? And create that emotional attachment to a product. And it's really having real world business results in terms of increasing conversion, right? So the impacts are pretty profound, and you get it out of it what you put into it, right? If you're driving traffic to it and you're getting people to use it and you're promoting it, you're absolutely going to reap the benefits from it.
Great. And the last question for our panel, which is actually looking ahead to the future. I know we've touched base that already a little bit. What are some emerging or potential advancement in room visualization technology that could further enhance the digital shopping experience? And how might these advancements impact brands and consumers? Josh, you can start.
I think I touched base on this only because it was news yesterday with Apple, and it's as technology advances, you will see a lot more immersive experiences in general, right? It's actually quite shocking. Companies reach out to us to visualize tons of products. We have people that ask us to visualize food. You wouldn't believe the list of things we get asked to visualize. And so in general, they want those interactive experiences. Technology is going to be always the catalyst that determines what happens and doesn't happen in terms of the market. But you're going to see more immersive experiences. There's no question about it, right? You're talking about walking around a space and seeing it kind of live, fully renovated as you're in the space. You're going to see more products. You're going to see kind of, because at the end of the day, we build tools for manufacturers and retailers. But at the end of the day, we are a consumer platform, right? So it still has to tie back to what does the consumer want? What is the consumer going to use? And it's really, I say this a lot, but it's about ease of use. It's about the immersive experience. I think VR, absolutely. It's more of a when versus will it come into the mix, but I think that's kind of and then more detail, right? As you get higher resolution cameras and you get higher resolution screens, really being able to get a lot more granular in terms of details of products and things like that. And as computer processing power increases, kind of, getting more and more into that virtual world and really kind of being able to walk around in that space is, the likely route, but who knows what happens. It's going to be, it's a year away till Apple comes out, but I'm sure you'll start hearing some really cool stuff over the next couple of years. But we always kind of say, will someone use that? Will someone use it? And you can have the best technology in the world, but if it's not being adopted, that's the key, right? So that's one thing we always tell people to remember is, will people use it? I think is the key thing we always try to link back to.
Patrick, anything to add?
Absolutely. I think, and I'll kind of dip my toe back in the question before as well. I think if you look at specifically for us, we're very SKU intensive. We have a lot of products, a lot of colors, a lot of sizing, that it's very hard to get that message across successfully in a dealer showroom. We do a good job of it, but there's a lot of products there. So what the visualization tool allows us and our three brands is to provide, to Josh's point, it's a consumer platform, to provide that consumer with access to a tremendous amount of SKUs that they may not be able to see or really put their understanding around how that's going to fit into a project in a dealer showroom. So we believe it's a 1-2 punch. So as the consumer evolves, as the technology speeds, because speed is really key here, we believe that they're going to shop, they're going to select, they're going to have a sample, and there's a time with that dealer showroom that brings it all together. And again, providing them, to Josh's point, more detail on products. We have very intricate, minute, subtle idiosyncrasies with the surface of our product that if you can't see it, once it's installed for us for tile on your floor, it's going to look a little bit different than you thought. So as that technology improves and the computer evolves to the speed and the RAM size that we need, I think that's going to provide just a better experience overall for the customer.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you, Josh. I think we have a question from one participant, which I will read to you now. Is visualization available for distributors or retailers as well?
Absolutely. So great question. So Daltile is a great example. They have a visualizer on their website today. So if you go to daltile.com, they have their room visualizer there. They also have what we call our partner program. So we actually have a tool that puts our visualization technology on all of their customers' websites. So if you go into a dealer that sells Daltile products, not one of their corporately owned locations, but a dealer location, you can actually visualize their products on the retailer's website. So that is a free tool for retailers, actually, and it's a way that we can really help a company like Daltile extend the reach of their product, right? So we actually can, same thing with distributors, we can get visualization happen everywhere that they sell their products. So, because the big thing that happens, right, is Patrick probably knows this. Someone looked at a great product on daltile.com, they go into a dealer showroom and they might sell a bunch of different products. How can you ensure that they're going to, when that customer comes into the showroom, they're also still seeing Daltile products and not maybe going to a competitor, right? So it's really offering that same experience and being able to visualize those Daltile products everywhere the customer integrates or interacts with their product. So super, super important piece there.
Great, thank you. I don't have any other questions. We have a few more minutes, so if anyone wants to ask a question, it's the time to do so via the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. I don't know if you have anything else you would like to add, Patrick.
No, it's been, we spent quite a bit of time determining our path forward on the digitization and partnering with, I'll put a plug in, partnering with Roomvo and Josh and their whole team has been fantastic. They are innovators, they look forward, and they're very open to determining how, because we've been around for 76 years, so we had to kind of shift our thinking a little bit around how a stylizer in this case would work, and Roomvo was that partner for us. So had to give them that plug. They did a great job, and it's been good for our business.
Josh, anything you would like to say as a final word? I don't have any other questions coming in. So
I did want to add one comment, and then, but when we asked about how technology will evolve, I think too, we think about this, how do we actually serve up visualization in store too, right? We talk about digital and online, and I think there's so many other ways. We're talking about kiosks in showroom now. Like, how can we actually bring that visualization technology beyond just a phone, right? How can we get it in even more places? So I did want to highlight that piece, but I have to give a plug back to Patrick. The team there has also been amazing to work with. Big innovators in their space and lean on technology. They were one of the first larger companies to really dive in, and still are doing a fantastic job in terms of how they think about visualization. I think it's a huge opportunity, but I think people have to think about it the right way. Right? It's a great way to engage your customers. It's a great way to get your brand awareness out there. There's so many intangibles that you don't think about either that it brings to the table that I don't think people think about when they think about visualization. Conversions are one thing, but it's also brand awareness. It's getting your name out there. There's a lot of stuff that also comes with it too, right? So, but thanks for having us. It's been great. Thanks, Patrick, for joining. And I think
I have one more question. I have one more question for you, Patrick. How do you evaluate the success of the room visualizer? Sorry.
You know, right now we're looking at usage. We talk to dealers all the time. We understand, you know, are they, because in many ways it's a lead generation, right? So the lead, someone's going to kind of work on our website and they're going to go to our dealer showroom to actually purchase the product. So we're right now measuring it on usage, and then we determine what those sales are.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Great question.
Thank you very much. I don't have anything else. A couple more seconds. If any questions want to come in, time to ask it. But I also want to thank both of you for your time today. It's a great opportunity for IGI to give the table to our associate members to present their product. And thank you very much. Of course, the recording of the webinar will be available to the IGI members on the website in the next 48 hours. And I would like to extend my big thank you to both of you for today. And thank you for the preparation of the webinar with the team at Roomvo. It was really nice to do that with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Take care. Thanks, Josh.